guys, welcome to the stream. So we're on to round 4 of Nexus now. At Spa this week. We're about 8 minutes till qualifying gets underway at 7 o'clock. And hopefully we've got a nice full lobby today. As we're just watching Clutch go round. Same format as always, 2 30-minute races, second one being reverse grid, first one being set by qualifying. Who else we've got lapping them? We've got Space in that lovely Dodge Viper as always. A little bit of lag going on for Space maybe, unfortunately. Hopefully we have no camera issues now. They did say that that is all supposed to be fixed, so hopefully it is. Fortunately, I personally haven't had any issues since the last Nexus race. So hopefully it's all good now. Got Oni going round in the McLaren. Honor just in front in the Merc. Got Kevlaro in for this one. Not seen Kevlaro for a couple of rounds, so Kevlaro in the Porsche. But picking up half a second penalty is a Kevlaro trait, that picking up penalties I've noticed. But there is definitely, I don't know if this is because of people joining and exiting the lobby maybe, but it does seem a little bit unstable at the moment. Not too bad, but there's definitely a few little issues. We've obviously got Gecko going round, who's just set the fastest lap in practice. And that JP liveried Ford GT there, as usual. Hey, Ray. And then we also have Ace Killer out on track by the looks of it in the AMG as well. Never noticed that before, that he's got the Ace of Spades on the front right corner of his car. Maybe that's to say he's got an ace up his sleeve. Or maybe it's just purely because his name's Ace Killer. But I'd have thought he'd have had more aces over the car with that. So not too long now before qualifying gets underway, about 5 minutes, just under. Hey Chris, how's it going, mate? got anyone new come out on track? Doesn't look like it. As Mark just joins the room. We've got Miguel back on track. That one team have a very standout livery with that purple and red. In the Subaru. It is nice in this series that we have got a few different people in different cars. So we see Mark now coming out onto the track as well in that Jag. In that tall livery. Got anyone else come out on track? No, we haven't. Let's just go on board with Gecko. See how Gecko's doing with his practice. But it should be starting qualifying any minute now. Not quite got everybody in the lobby. There we go, Philo just saying starting soon. So Philo's hosting this week. That's because, unfortunately, Gecko's had a couple of issues in the last 2 races. But it seems like we've had a few issues because we've had issues with the stream as well. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a good 2 races today and we'll get to see them both as well. Who are we missing this week? It looks like we're missing Will Murdoch. Darkrai as well. And Will and Darkrai were the 2 competing right at the front last week. So it's a shame that those 2 aren't in the lobby. Maybe they're just running a bit late. Maybe they'll join after qualifying, hopefully. But here we go, Gecko first out the pits. Oh no, looks like Philo is in front of him. Yeah, so Philo first out the pits, so we'll go on board with Philo. And Philo can demonstrate a lap of Spa for us. Unless he chooses to let someone else go by and take that position. So a new one for people being on stream. Always get on board with the first qualifying lap. so we can see how the lap's done. So put a bit of pressure on the whoever's doing the first lap, because they know they'll be being watched. Make a nice change to see on board from the NSX instead of usually it's Gecko out first that we're on board with. Obviously, Spa being a slightly longer track, people might not get as many qualifying laps in. People may choose to do 2 laps in a row on the tyres rather than come in for fresh tyres. We'll see. As Philo goes a bit deep into the bus stop there. Hopefully he'll still get a good run to start his first lap. Not the best way to start your first lap, but could have been worse. Braked fairly early for La Source there and nearly clipped the wall. So again, Philo not having the greatest start to this lap here. Should be flat out through Eau Rouge and Radion now and all the way down the Kemmel Straight. Yeah, nice and easy flat there. Leaving it in 5th though. No changing to 6th. So I think Philo made a mistake maybe there by leaving that in 5th in this car. Some cars it is better to leave it in the lower gear there, but maybe not in the NSX. Nice and tight, get on back on the power as early as possible. And now a quick little brake and turn in for No Name. Not too bad, but a bit away from the apex there by Philo. So definitely more time in this lap from Philo here. Back on the power as soon as possible, but not running wide. Nice and clean through there. Turned in a little bit early there, I think. The second part's important. Just missed the apex. Back on the power as soon as you can though. And then a quick dab of brakes down the gears and turn in and back on the power early. And an early upshift there from Philo for that one. And then a slight lift there on the exit of Stavlo. I think if you get the line right, you should be able to be flat in the softs there, but slight lift needed by Philo. And then we should be flat through Blanchimont here. Yep, nice and easy. And now let's see if Philo can get it stopped for the bus stop this time. Yes, he does, much better. Still a little bit deep. I like to keep it nice and tight on that first part, but a good exit out the chicane. Keeping it right to the inside, shortest run to the line. Setting the benchmark, but Gecko goes well ahead there. So Gecko setting the benchmark. Clutch, a second behind in second. Bits as well, just over a second behind Gecko. Well, Kevlar Oni goes up to second. Mark up to 5th. What about Kevlaro now then? Oh no, Kevlaro has finished their lap in 8th. Distinct space up to 7th. Looks like a few have maybe had issues on the lap, so haven't set a first lap and have had to pit back in. So it looks like everybody now is on out laps. No, Bits is carrying on, so Bits is still going for a lap. So we'll see how Bits can do, whether he can improve his time, get up into that top 3 in the Jag. As we do see someone improve, it's Ace Killer going up to 4th place there, just ahead of Bits. Ace Killer was one of those that hadn't set a lap yet. So a bit of traffic from Kevlaro now for Bits. But Yeah, should be far enough ahead not to be an issue. Kevlaro is on an out lap though, so it depends whether Kevlaro slows down, but it doesn't look like they will. It's 2 tenths up on their time, so definitely looking to move up now. And we didn't see their lap last time, so we don't know if they lost time later on in the lap. They might have done. So now just need a good bus stop to end the lap. But they're coming to the pits. Very strange, because they were definitely up on the lap. Maybe they thought they could be up by more, and they thought if they don't get in now, they won't have time to get another lap. It's the only thing I can think, because they definitely looked like they were up on the lap. As Gecko's just coming round to start his lap now. We've got Kaga still not come out the pit, so Kaga maybe not setting a lap, maybe having an issue or a bit busy, so unable to qualify. Distinct space improves. Honor's still yet to set a lap. Miguel set a lap probably well off the pace, so on an out lap now. Kevlaro has just stayed out doing lap after lap, but maybe not at the pace they'd expect, and down on time, so not looking like they're going to improve now at all. And obviously not going to have enough time to come back into the pits now then, by the looks of it. Philo now on his second fast lap, going to look to improve to go up. Space has come back into the pits and gone on to another out lap. And so has Mark by the looks of it. So these two going to get round to try and get one final lap in. The only issue we have is the countdown timer at the end of qualifying isn't as good as it was on sport, so people don't always get to finish their final laps. Most is still on an out lap, so we've got Clutch, Gecko, Oni and Philo look like the only ones, and Kevlaro, the only ones currently on fast laps. As Clutch is improving by enough to go up into second place here. So let's see, can they have a good bus stop? You look nice and smooth. So we'll see what the time is crossing the line, as Gecko does improve though. And Clutch does improve to go second, but still 7 tenths off Gecko. And that's Kevlaro, I think, about to cross the line, but doesn't improve. What about Philo now then? No, Philo was on an out lap then, maybe. Hey, Henry. So we've got Oni now looking to improve. Needs to find another 10th to go up to second, but needs to find 8 tenths to go. Oh, but they've run wide by the looks of it, so that's going to be that lap done. And I don't think they're going to have time to get one more lap in, because as I said, the countdown timer isn't as long. You aren't able to set it as long as you used to be able to in sport. So a lot of the time people don't manage to get the final laps in, unfortunately. Yes, Henry, both Gecko and Philo are in this one today. As Ace Killer's had an incident, so he won't be improving his lap. So what about Bits? Let's see if Bits can improve to go up a couple of places. But we'll keep our eye on anyone else, see if anyone else is improving as well. Bits is improving by 2 tenths so far. So that's enough to go up one position. Couple more tenths and they might go up another. As we did see an improvement there pop up, but I did miss who that was. Oh, but Pitts messes up the bus stop with cars in front there. Clutch does improve to get closer to Gecko, though. About Kevlaro now about to come across the line. Kevlaro does improve, but stays 9th. We've got Distinct Space now coming round. So said, I don't know how many of these guys will be able to finish their laps. Looks like Space will, but Space looking for a big improvement. And Space improves all the way up to 7th place there, dropping Kevlaro down. Who else have we got on a lap? We've got one last person on a lap. It's Oni. So Oni, after 2.5 temps to get up to 2nd place, or 8 temps to take pole off Gecko. Bit of a slide on exit though. Let's see what the time's going to be. No, they're not going to improve, so they stay 3rd. We've got Gecko on pole, Clutch 2nd, Oni 3rd, Ace Killer 4th, Bits 5th, Philo 6th, Space 7th, Mart 8th, Honor 9th, Kevlaro 10th, Miguel 11th, and Kaga not setting a lap, starting at the back. So that'll be our order for the first race. Just remember the second race will be a reverse grid. And obviously there's no tyre requirements or anything in this. It's just a 30-minute sprint race. Most of the time we've seen either mediums to softs or softs to mediums. A couple of times we've seen soft, and a couple of times we've seen people run medium. This is, well, and we did last week, we saw a hard no stop, which I don't think we'll see again, because it didn't quite have this pace. Tyre wear is normally very high at Spa though, so taking that into account, I'm expecting everybody to be on the soft medium, and maybe a couple of those that struggle doing the double medium stint. But we'll see. Yep, they did well there, Henry. The only unfortunate thing, we were supposed to have Will Murdoch and Distinct Dark Ray in the race, and they've not turned up. And I know those two, obviously last week, were giving us a great little battle, so we're going to miss that battle at the front. But obviously good news for Gecko, because obviously that'll help him try and pick up a win in this one. So Kaga just confirming that they went AFK and missed quali, but saying maybe it was for the better. Maybe he had to quickly nip off and do something, unfortunately. So we'll see how they get on in the race from the back. In the RX Vision there. So here we go, just getting started now then. Yeah, good luck to everyone. Hopefully we get a nice clean start. Gecko going to be taking pole, see if he can keep it into turn 1. Well, and probably more so, can he keep it by the end of the Kemmel Straight? Good start by Gecko though, by the looks of it, and a good start by Oni there. And a very good start by Ace Killer. So we do still have Oni and Clutch side by side. No, Clutch has got back by with the power of that Ford GT, and he's going to challenge Gecko. Gecko defending the inside, no, but Clutch is going to go all the way around the outside there. That's what we were on about, the run down the Kemmel straight, whether Gecko could hold it. But Clutch with the slipstream has got by. Ace Killer up into 4th behind, Philo up into 5th, Kevlaro all the way up into 6th, and a great start by Kaga all the way up into 8th there. We've got Mart that's maybe had an incident dropped off, and Bits as well dropped right back, so not had a great start there from 5th place. Everybody else still fairly close together now then, as Clutch starts to pull away from Gecko here on the first lap. But Gecko is on the hard tyres. So let's check that. Clutch is on the soft. Gecko's gone for the hards. So interesting strategy call from Gecko here. We'll see how that works out for him. That's why Clutch has managed to do so well off the start compared to Gecko. Then we have Oni also on the hards as well. Ace Killer on the mediums. So he's challenging Oni now. Will want to get past soon enough. And then Philo also on the mediums behind. But Philo and Ace Killer might be getting a penalty there as both of them run wide. And unfortunately there's contact and Philo nearly kills Ace Killer. But Ace Killer gets it back on track. But we're a bit all over the place now, and unfortunately, who's that gone in the background? It's Kaga, and that's caused a bit of a pile-up, unfortunately. So things went wrong at the bus stop there on the first lap. Everybody a bit too close together. So we were looking at tyres as we see Gecko actually challenging Clutch now then. So Clutch has had a poor run out the first corner there. And Gecko's got back by, but we imagine Clutch will get back past before the end of the Kemmel straight. So let's recap tyres. Gecko on hards, Clutch on softs, Oni on hards. Then we've got a gap to Kevlaro up to 4th now on mediums. Philo also on mediums and Ace Killer behind on mediums. Miguel on mediums and his teammate Bits is also on mediums. And then we've got Kaga challenging them on the soft tyre. So that's why Kaga got a good start. Distinct Space on the mediums. Honor also on the mediums. And Mart at the back after a poor start also on the mediums. Hey Lumbee. Nice to see you, mate. So Clutch is now back past Gecko. So for those unsure on the rules, it's a 30-minute race. And there is no tyre requirements. As I said, the general strategies we've seen is either softs to mediums or mediums to softs. We have seen some people with cars that struggle on tyre wear medium, and we have seen soft, the risky strategy in the past as well. And we did see last week one person did a no stop on hards, and we have seen there's a couple of cars on the hards this week, which I wouldn't have expected at a track like this. I'd have thought the hards in the middle sector would just lose way too much time, but obviously these guys would have been practicing, would know what strategies are the best to go for. It might just be because it's such a high tyre wear track, they might be using hards so that they can use softs at the end, so they don't have to do a double medium stint maybe. That's my only thought here. Or it might just be because the pit loss is so big, because this is the 24-hour layout, I believe. So it might just be because the pit loss is so big that the likes of Gecko and Oni have gone for the hards, so they don't have to pit in this race. But we'll see how that plays out later on. Clutch will probably want to be pulling away by more than they are, and Oni doing a good job just sticking with Gecko. These two on the same strategy, so Kevlaro now will want to get past them as soon as possible on the mediums because they're on a different strategy. Definitely Lumbee, I do think it could be interesting to see, as we've probably got more different strategies in this one than normal. As I said, most of the time we have medium to soft or soft to medium, which is pretty much the same strategy but opposite way round. So it'll be interesting to see in this race with all the different strategies, as Kevlaro's going for a move on Oni now then. Nice and simple. Is going to keep it tight to the inside. Easy overtake there, making use of the better tyre compound. So Kevlaro now will want to dispatch of Gecko pretty quick as well. And to be honest, Gecko could do with Kevlaro just getting by and giving him a bit of a slipstream for a little while. Banking on the hard strat. Yeah, I think with the pit stop, if they are going hards to the end, I do think with the pit loss at this track that might actually work. The hard strategy no stop at Road Atlanta last week was really slow and didn't work at all. So obviously going off that makes you think it might not work, but I think at this track there's definitely a bigger advantage to it. But it'll all be how fast Clutch can drive on those soft tyres. And he did struggle in the first couple of laps to pull away, which might affect him. But I imagine Kevlaro's going to dispatch Gecko pretty soon. No, he's going to stay behind for the bus stop. So he'll probably go for the run either into turn 1, but Gecko has got the inside, so he'll probably go for the run down into the end of the Kemmel straight then. Yeah, he's probably going to settle in behind now. Oh no, he has got the run. Gecko had a bit of a slide on corner exit, so Gecko's going to have to just filter in behind Kevlaro here. And he does. Good driving there. So Gecko now probably doesn't want to repass Kevlaro because that'll be fighting too much. Kevlaro on the better tyres. But Gecko won't want Oni to come past either at the same time. So Gecko does end up getting back past. So I don't think that's good for these guys overall. I think these guys would be better off with Kevlaro at the front, so they don't lose any time. Kevlaro definitely would want to be at the front, because as you can see, Ace Killer's caught up to the back of these guys now. Bit and Miguel not too far behind either, working together, both on mediums. Philo's dropped back a bit, but he's still with these guys, so he'll be looking to catch these front guys up as well. And Honor not far behind Philo either, with Kaga not too far behind but on the softs, and those soft tyres not looking in a great condition already. Space on the mediums now, starting to catch up a little bit, and so's Mart, those two having dropped off near the start. So Clutch now has 4.6 second lead on those soft tyres, and he's currently purple. Gecko's still in the lead over Kevlaro for second place though. I do think for the... Oh, as Oni runs wide there, so that's going to allow Ace Killer past. So I do think for these guys, they probably could do with Kevlaro just getting out the way so they're not battling too much. As we see, is it Oni run wide again? So Oni's struggling now on them hard tyres. See, this is what I mean with the other medium guys catching up. That's causing these two hard runners to start to struggle a little bit. Oh, as Oni just about saves that there, but oh, unfortunately Miguel gets caught up in that with Oni having that big tank slapper. So Oni saved it, but that caused Miguel to go round. But Oni now with half a second penalty to serve. So Philo will be looking to get by Oni now. Kevlaro's still stuck behind Gecko. So this is where Kevlaro needs it. Kevlaro needs to make the move at the end of the Kemmel straight. But that Ford GT might just be too quick. Yeah, the top end of that Ford GT is just too quick for that Porsche. Porsche's got no answer at all. But the problem is now Kevlaro's being held up by Gecko all the way through this sector. Because obviously Kevlaro will be much quicker through here with the much better grip. But Gecko's really holding him up. But if Gecko is doing a no-stop, maybe holding these guys up is a good thing. The only problem is if it's slowing Gecko down, it's allowing Clutch to extend that gap that they need for when they pit. Hard tyres are hanging on really well. We see not too much wear on the mediums on that Porsche either, but the soft tyres are starting to wear a bit now. But it does look like Clutch is looking after those soft tyres pretty well in the Ford. Yeah, exactly, Lumbie. Maybe Gecko's choosing to defend, to hold those guys back because he knows he's not pitting and they are. So the longer they're behind him, the more time they're losing. The only one is how much time is he losing to Clutch doing that. But then again, depending on what the pit loss is, it might not matter that much, because Clutch is not really pulling away by as much as he probably should be. Clearly got the pace, but making a few little mistakes, because see, doing 217s, and we did see them purple on for the mid 216 by the looks of it earlier on, but they haven't managed that. So, and Gecko, yeah, so they're only pulling out less than a second a lap really on Gecko, as Kevlaro does get past again now, but I imagine Gecko's just going to straight line it back past down the Kemmel Straight, as we've already seen the speed of that Ford GT once, well twice, once with Kevlaro in front and once with Kevlaro behind. So let's see now if Gecko just sails round him into the outside. Kevlaro going to try and defend it, but no, just sails past before the end of the straight. So the Porsche's got no answer to the Ford GT in a straight line. So as Lumbie points out, this might actually be playing into Gecko's strategy, especially because Clutch is not really pulling out as much of a gap as he needs to. But we'll see how it goes with the strategies. Just looking at the tyre wear, I definitely don't think Gecko's pitting. But let's see where Onnie's dropped back to on the same strategy. So Onnie has dropped a fair way back now. So the defending has obviously put Onnie off, caused Onnie problems. Onnie really needed to stick to Gecko like they were, but obviously still should be on for the second place once everyone's pitted. It's just how close are the other cars going to be. As Onnie is battling away with Honor now though. Distinct space, in a bit of space, but Mark's got Miguel all over the back of him now. And then Kagawa has pitted, so we've had our first pit stop, and it is Kagawa doing the usual strat, soft to medium. And Kagawa is a long way off the back, so that's proving that it is a long pit stop here. Hey Steve. So Onnie now still only 5 seconds and coming into the pits already. I'm very surprised they're not going on for one more lap. Does look like those tyres would have lasted one more lap. So we'll have to see how far behind Gecko Clutch comes out, because Clutch only managed in those 6 laps to gain 5.5 seconds on Gecko. So really, I don't think that strategy is going to pay off. It looks like at the moment Gecko's no-stop strategy is going to pay off. So I wonder if in the reverse race, whether we'll see more people switch to the hards and do the no-stop strategy, because we do sometimes see people match the strategy that works best in the first race. As look, Gecko just pulls away down that straight. So Kevlaro's having a bit of a nightmare in the Porsche, being stuck behind that Ford GT with the straight line speed. But then again, Kevlaro's definitely looking after the tyres here. Or maybe that Porsche is just really good. I think that Porsche can also do a no-stop on the mediums. So that Porsche looks like it might get, because we're coming up to the halfway mark now, and they're just about half worn, those tyres. So I think that Porsche is going to go to the end. Ace Killer might struggle on the last lap if they try and go to the end. Same as Bits. Philo, again, similar. Onnie obviously not going to have any issues getting to the end on those hards, but they are more worn than Gecko's by the looks of it. Ono probably going to struggle to get to the end. Mark is going to be a 50-50. Clutch obviously now will go to the end, but look at that, 31 seconds behind Gecko. So we're talking a 35, 36 second pit loss. So obviously that's massive. And then Distinct Space has pitted as well. And so's Kaga. And so's Miguel. So these guys at the back have all pitted. But I don't think that strat's going to pay off. It's going to be the no stop that pays off by the looks of it. And I do think Kevlaro can do the no stop. The only problem for Kevlaro is they need to be ahead of Gecko before the last lap, because Kevlaro's tyres are probably not going to be in the greatest condition on the final lap of this race. But the problem here, as we see again, is that Porsche just doesn't have the straight line speed to match that Ford GT. So let's see now then, 4 tenths behind in the slipstream. And Gecko's pulling away, look at that. To 5 tenths. Yeah, look at that, Porsche in the slipstream has just lost 2 tenths down the straight to Gecko's Ford GT with no slipstream. So that shows how powerful that Ford GT is in a straight line. So Kevlaro's going to have to do it the hard way, but he needs to break slipstream before the straight as well, or Gecko's just going to cruise back past him. So this is a very awkward race tactically for Kevlaro here, but it's all going the way of Gecko at the moment. So we'll check back on that battle later, as we've got Ace Killer and Bits battling away now, but Bits has got a ½ second penalty to serve, which Philo should be able to move back up into the top 4. So we've got a bit of a battle going on for the final podium spot between these 3 guys now. It'll all depend on tyres and who has to pit and who doesn't. But they're all going to really be struggling with tyres at the end. They probably won't make it. Kevlaro's Porsche looks like it'll make it on mediums though. And obviously Gecko will make it on the hards, no problem at all. As we see now, Gecko's pulling away again with Kevlaro in slipstream. So that Porsche has just got no answer to that Ford GT down the 2 straights. So needs to be ahead, but needs to be ahead and slow Gecko down, so that Gecko doesn't get the run on them to just pass back on the straight again. So really, Kevlaro needs to be touching the back of Gecko's car coming through Eau Rouge, really. And that way they might be able to get the move done under braking. But if they're not literally under the wing of Gecko's car, the straight line speed of that Ford GT is just too much to handle for the Porsche. And obviously as the laps go on, the tyres on that Porsche are going to be getting worse, so he's going to lose the advantage in the middle sector as well. Ace Killer now pulled away a little bit with Bits serving a penalty, and Philo has got ahead now. So just coming up to 11 minutes left to go in this race. So I do think these 3 are going to struggle on tyres. Oni obviously easy going to the end, but on the harder tyre. So we'll see if Oni can close back up to these guys now. So Oni might still be on for the podium, as we see Honor just running a bit wide there. So Honor's tyre's nearly gone now, so Honor's going to have to pit. There's no way Honor's getting to the end of this race now. Mart also is going to have to pit. And then Clutch, Space, Kaga and Miguel have all already pitted, as Miguel's all over the back of Kaga now. So let's see if Miguel can go for a move at the end of the Kemmel straight here. Not quite. Or are they going to go for it under braking? Yes, but not quite close enough to make that move stick. Good driving there from both guys. But difference in tyres. Miguel is on the softs, so Miguel can get by, should be able to pull away from Kaga now then. And they do make that move stick. So we'll move back to the front with Gecko and Kevlaro. So Gecko's still got the upper hand with the straight line speed of that Ford GT. And they are pulling away from the cars behind now, as we saw those guys behind are struggling with tyres now. So yeah, I don't think Ace Killer's going to make it to the end of this race. One more lap and there's going to be no life left in those tyres. Philo 1 or 2 laps, maybe 1.5 laps. So again, Philo's going to struggle on the final lap or two. Bits. So Bits is the best off of these three at the moment, but not by much at all. So I do think Oni's still on for the podium here. And I do think these three, now that they've gone so long, are they going to stay out? Nah, Ace Killers, I think they're going to have to come in. I don't think these three are going to make it staying out. But we'll see what they choose to do. Kevlaro's definitely going to stay out now. So that Porsche does have an advantage with tyre wear by the looks of it. The only problem is that advantage on the Ford GT of the straight line speed is just keeping Gecko ahead. Kevlaro's definitely got the pace in the middle sector, but just can't get close enough to make a move and run away from Gecko. And then Gecko just cruises down the straights and makes the Porsche look like it's standing still. And we are getting to the point now where the tyres on Kevlaro's car are going to start to lose performance. So Philo back up to the back of Ace Killer now then. And dragged Bits along with him. So these three still really close together. But we'll see what these guys do now. Because they'll be coming round to the pits. And as I said, I don't think Ace Killer's going to get another lap before these tyres totally die off. Philo and Bits should get another lap before the tyres die off. But I think Ace Killer's tyres are going to die on this next lap if they choose to stay out. But if they pit, we'll see where they come out. But upper hand Gecko at the moment in this race, and I think Oni probably got the upper hand on these two as Ace Killer goes straight on. So Ace Killer struggled there. These three are all staying out. So Philo gets that position, and Ace Killer manages to hold on ahead of Bits. So Ace Killer's tyres now are struggling as Bits is going to go for the move. No, he's not. Backs out of that one. Sensible there. Going to go for the run as we see Honor come into the pits. So Oni not gaining on these three yet, but not losing much time to them. So Oni going to have 4 seconds to gain, but these guys are going to be battling. And the tyres are going to die very soon. So I do think advantage. Oh, as Bits picks up half a second penalty again there. Oh, but we see Kevlaro has managed to get the lead there. So Kevlaro has finally managed to get past Gecko and stay ahead. So Kevlaro needs to pull out a gap now before the straight, or Gecko's going to just cruise back past. So Kevlaro needs to put in the lap of his life in this middle sector to pull away from that Ford GT. But if that Ford GT is anywhere near the Porsche coming onto the back straight, then I reckon by the bus stop Gecko's going to have him back. And if he doesn't, he's going to have him out of La Source on the run down the Kemmel Straight. So Kevlaro now really needs to pull away here. But just not managing it. Gecko's managing to stick with him. We go 7 tenths now, so it's close. But Gecko's just going to be in that slipstream by the looks of it. Yeah, just coming to 7.5 tenths, 8 tenths. But the straight line speed of that GT is going to get Gecko back in the slipstream before the end of the straight, I imagine. So Kevlaro needs a good couple of laps if he wants to win this race. And he needs a good bus stop. Kevlaro needs a good bus stop because his tyres have obviously not got much longer to last. Can he stay out of slipstream of Gecko on the exit of La Source? That's what's needed. And he is now a second ahead, so he is doing what he needs to do. So let's see now, can Kevlaro keep that gap? as we see Bittits has gone ahead of Ace Killer now then. As we see Darkrai join late, so Darkrai might be taking part in the second race. So that might make things interesting. So yeah, Kevlaro has kept that gap. So Kevlaro, advantage now Kevlaro. It's just whether those tyres last to the end of this race. We do only have 4 minutes left, so should be 2 more laps for these guys. This lap and 1 more, so Gecko just needs to stay close and might be able to take advantage. Philo's rear left tyre has now died and he is sliding about now, so Philo's going to struggle to do 2 more laps here. Bits in a slightly better condition, got 1 more lap on those tyres before they go, so Bits will be wanting to get on the back of Philo, but Bits and Ace Killer dropped right off there. So Ace Killer's got no front tyres at all now. So advantage Oni in this little battle, but Oni needs to get past quick so he can try and chase down Bits and Philo. So here we go, here goes Oni on the move on the inside. Gonna make this stick, I imagine. Yep, easy pass there. So Ace Killer's just trying to hold on them mediums now and get to the end of this race. Yes, Steve, Kevlaro is a good driver. So we'll see how Philo's doing now. Philo's starting to lose time to Bits behind. Oni has lost a lot of time getting past Ace Killer though, so that might help save Philo a little bit. But I do think Oni on them hard tyres compared to these two on these worn mediums might have a slight advantage. But this is going to be the final lap coming up now. Or maybe not. We've got 2.5 minutes left. So actually Kevlaro and Gecko are going to have 2 more laps to go now then. And these 3 might as well, which is not good news for these guys. These want less laps, especially if you're Philo. If you're Oni, you want that extra lap though. Kevlaro's still keeping that second gap to Gecko. But tyres now right on the edge, so that extra lap might not be good news for Kevlaro, because that might give Gecko the upper hand. And look at the straight line speed of that Ford GT closing that gap, no problem at all. But Kevlaro is still going to have the advantage through the middle sector at the moment. But we'll see how long that advantage lasts for, as those tyres are on their last legs now. So I do think Gecko's still got the slight advantage if this goes 1 more lap. If Kevlaro can keep him out of slipstream range through this middle sector to start the next lap, then Kevlaro's got the upper hand, I think. So Bits now all over the back of, and look at how quickly Oni's closing in on these two. Bits still got a tiny bit of tyre life left, but Philo now driving on 1 tyre. The other 3 tyres are dead, and look at him just drifting around that corner. Going to be close to a penalty that, but might just get away with it. So Philo now going to come under huge pressure, and so's Bits, as Bits' rear left now is gone. So upper hand Oni maybe in this race for 3rd place. Where's Gecko? Gecko has closed up. This is bad news for Kevlaro. Bad news for Kevlaro now. Gecko is closing back up. Just outside of slipstream range though, but gonna get back into it with that straight line speed. Kevlaro needs a good bus stop now and a good La Source if he wants to win this race, because these guys are going to get 1 more lap. So let's see what Kevlaro's tyres are like. That rear left is nearly gone. So Kevlaro wants this to be the end of the race, but it's not going to be. There's 1 more lap to survive for Kevlaro. Yeah, it's tenths everywhere. Tenths for 3rd, tenths for 1st. Upper hand Gecko maybe. See how good an exit Kevlaro can get. Kevlaro does get a good exit. Oh no, they don't get an extra lap, so Philo holds it. These guys just miss out on the extra lap, which is good news for Philo and Bits. Bad news for Oni. So Ace Killer bringing it home 6th. Hey, Clutch in 7th. Distinct Space is, unless he makes a mistake at the bus stop, should have 8th here, but he's got Honor closing him down. Yeah, so Space keeps it clean, so Space going to hold 8th, Honor 9th. Then we're going to have Miguel in 10th, with Kago right behind in 11th. And unfortunately, we have lost Mark by the looks of it. So Kevlaro now, that left rear has gone. So this is our final race. Everybody else has crossed the line. We only have these two still going. Philo manages to get a 3rd place by not having to do that extra lap. So good news for him and Bits, because I think Oni was all over the back of him. But let's see now. Can Kevlaro hold Gecko off? Needs to keep it clean. Gecko will be probably waiting for the straight. He knows he's got straight line speed advantage. So let's see now. No, looking for the outside, but Kevlaro defends that well. Leaves space for Gecko on the inside though, because he wants to hold the inside for the next corner. And he does, so Gecko just needs a good exit now on the run to Blanchimont. He should have this done on the run to Blanchimont with the straight line speed advantage that Ford GT has. As Kevlaro runs wide, no. So it makes it easy for Gecko, so Gecko's got that move done. So unfortunate there for Kevlaro. Kevlaro needed the race to end for these guys 1 lap earlier like it did for the other guys. But it didn't, and Kevlaro's picked up a penalty as well. So that's Gecko won this race. Kevlaro's going to have to settle for 2nd. Great battle by Kevlaro there. Nearly did it. He just couldn't. If he could have got past Gecko earlier, he would have had the win. The straight line speed of that Ford GT he couldn't handle. So fantastic racing there. So let's just quickly run through the results now that we can see them. So Gecko taking the win, Kevlaro in 2nd, Philo just holding 3rd off Betitz and Oni. Then we have Ace Killer in 6th, Clutch in 7th, Distinct Space in 8th, Honor in 9th, Miguel in 10th, Kaga in 11th, and Mark DNF in 12th. And Miguel taking fastest lap there with a 2:15.6. But it did look like the no-stop was the way to go, as Gecko proved and Kevlaro proved. But it also looked like Kevlaro's the only car really that could do the no-stop on the mediums. I know Philo and Bits managed it, Ace Killer managed it, but they were really struggling at the end. And if they had just got one more lap like it looked like they were going to, then I think Philo and Bits would have lost out to Oni there on the hard tyres. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone changes strategy for the 2nd race, which will be a reverse grid. So the next race is a reverse grid race. So Gecko will be having to come through from the back, but so will Kevlaro. But that might be, if Kevlaro can get past the cars quicker than Gecko can, if they're both on the same strategy again, that might be good for Kevlaro in the Porsche. So unfortunately, it looks like maybe Miguel's had a couple of issues, saying he got pushed out 4 times. Clutch saying he forgot to change tyres. So Clutch was on the soft strategy accidentally there by the looks of it at the start. So that's a bad mistake from Clutch. Yes, Henry, that was great racing. Yeah, good race, Lumi. Said hopefully we can have a 2nd race just as exciting. Said the long pit stop here seems to be what's made that no stop the better option, even though, as I said, it's not worked at other track. Well, say the only track it's been tried at was Road Atlanta last week, and it really didn't work out at all. So But obviously with the much longer pit stop here, it seemed to work by a long margin. We'll just wonder whether the likes of Philo maybe try to go onto the hards again now. Oh, and it looks like, unfortunately, we've lost Miguel now then. So we don't like to see that. Incidents do sometimes happen in racing, but that's why we have a report system and a penalty system so they can get sorted out. Yeah, 7-0 won it, Henry. A bit of a thump in there. But a bit of a one-off for Liverpool, I think. They'll start getting beaten again next week. Will they be out the Champions League midweek, or do they play next midweek? I can't quite remember who's playing midweek this week. But said, hopefully we can have a good second race. That said, exactly the same strategy, exactly the same 30-minute race. But the only difference this time is reverse grid. So no required pit stop, no required tyres or anything. So hopefully we'll be getting underway soon. Might just be, I don't know if you can do reverse grid yet, whether you have to manually set it. So Philo might have just been finishing manually setting the reverse grid. But hopefully we won't be too long till we're underway. So 3 points off the top four now. Haven't Newcastle got 2 games in hand, so they've got a game in hand on Liverpool as well, though, because they'll be behind Liverpool now, will they, Henry? I've not looked at the table after that game. Oh, so Philo is saying he's just waiting for Miguel to rejoin, but by the looks of it, didn't look like he will, but maybe he has sent a message saying that he's going to rejoin. So we'll just have to wait and see now. Looks like maybe it was space that pulled him off, but he's saying he is sorry about it. He didn't mean to do it, he said, but there was a bit of lag, which we did see there was a little bit of lag in the lobby when we were watching people practicing. There was a little bit of cars jumping, which does make it difficult at times. And also, if it was right at the start, it's always difficult at the start of the race when all the cars are close together. We do sometimes see people pushed off. Oh, and it was Miguel we saw have the incident where he went round. I can't remember who that was with, though, but we saw someone lose the back end and just hold it. I think it was Oni, wasn't it? Just had a slide coming out the bus stop. But again, sometimes that happens. Unfortunate incidents, a car crashes in front of you. But I said, hopefully we have no issues in the second race. And I said, hopefully we get underway soon enough. I feel like the commentators at Spa a couple of years ago, where they had to fill dead air because of all that rain. Unfortunately, it looks like Lobby 2 maybe didn't have people turn up. So this has been an issue. This is unfortunate when this happens because we've now had extra sign-ups for this, and we were supposed to have 15 drivers in this lobby and 16 drivers in Lobby 2. So if Lobby 2's coming over to this lobby, then that's not good news. That means a lot of people just haven't turned up, which is not good to see. Because I've not seen... There was a couple of people did message saying that they couldn't join in, but not many, so obviously that's unfortunate. And then this is delaying us because we were, unfortunately, Andy's not managing to stream the Tourers League that we do this week, so I was going to pop into lobby 1 of that for the second race. So hopefully we do still manage to get in there for that second race. So we've got Umbar coming into the lobby now. Then we have seen Umbar race before. So we should have JP as well, yeah, because I know he was hosting it, so I knew he was in it. So that's JP joining. So please, because the only problem here, this means they can't have had many in their lobby at all. If that's the case, that is really bad, because we're still going to have had 11, so 10 drivers by the end. So we had 12 in the first race, but we have had 2 leave. Dr. Genius Clarkson, so that must be Green Death. Let's see. Just trying to see if it could change these to IDs, but I think these are down as nicknames by the looks of it. Maybe not. I don't know. But we got Green Death then. That must be Dr. Clarkson. So unfortunately, it looks like maybe they only had 3, unless they've had issues as well and people have quit out the race. But unfortunately, that's not good to see. But said, hopefully we'll be underway soon. And hopefully we do have a good second race as well. So there we go, Philo telling people to check tyres, starting soon. So Philo saying it's just getting underway. So sorry about the delay here, guys, but we should be underway any minute now for this second race. Presuming the lobby 2 guys are maybe going to get stuck at the front of this. At a guess. Just because they were in the lower lot. Yes, they have. There we go. So those guys have been stuck in the front. Unfortunate if they've had to race with 3 guys. That's very disappointing. Shame that couldn't be sorted before the first race started, if that's the case. But we can forget about all that now and concentrate on the racing again. Hopefully we get a good one, as we're going to get underway any minute now. So they're on the grid. So we'll wait for the lights to come on and go out. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go. So someone doesn't get off the start. It's JP doesn't get off the start. And that causes a big crash at the back. I don't quite know what happened there. That might be a restart. I'm not quite sure on what protocol we will follow with that. That'd be up to Gecko and Philo. But there was clearly an issue for JP. JP couldn't get off the line for whatever reason. So I don't quite know what happened there. Maybe red flag and restart. We'll put a message in. Just like, because Gecko and Philo might have missed it. So we'll see obviously what they decide. It's their decision. They run this league. So it's up to them. Yes, Henry, as I said, I do think a restart in that situation would be a good decision, because JP didn't move at all. So he didn't jump the start. It looked definitely like there was some sort of issue and he got stuck. So I do think a restart would be fair, but as I said, that is up to Philo and Gecko to decide. So we have made them aware, so it's up to those two to make a decision now then. And we have had someone else leave now, and JP is still struggling. So JP's come to a stop. So JP has had an issue of some sort. So has JP's brake got stuck on or something? JP's really struggling with something there, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get the restart. So Green Def gonna lead us off here. Let's see, where's Philo and Gecko? Philo and Gecko are still racing, so I don't know if they haven't seen that message or not. But it is a big shame for what happened there. Because as I said, I think that might have been a game glitch, not anybody's problem. But sometimes these things do happen in racing. I think you might be a bit behind, Steve. The second lobby guys got put at the front. But it looks like maybe Gecko and Philo haven't seen the message as these guys battle away now then. So we'll get back to the racing and concentrate on that. It's just unfortunate for those guys that had the issue off the start. Because I think now that we've ended the first lap and kept going, it's a bit too late now to restart the race, unfortunately. As we see Kaga get back past Oni there. So Gecko's struggling to work through. How's Kevlaro getting on? Kevlaro's got through a bit better. As we see Philo and Umba behind picking up penalties. So that's going to help Gecko. Bits there asking for the restart as well. As I said, if he is watching the stream or can see the stream or check the stream, then as I said, that is down to Gecko and Philo. So I did put the message in to see, in case they weren't sure exactly what happened. But you do sometimes in real racing, you do have things, but I do think in real racing, that would have been a red flag situation. And we do need to remember that the chat does only pop up for a short period of time, so it can be hard to notice sometimes. But Gecko now has got through with those guys serving penalties, so that's Gecko behind Kevlaro now then. And those two are both on the same strategy as last time. As we see some new fastest laps coming in, second lap, so fastest lap's only going to get improved. But Green Def and Honor pulling away at the front now, so they've had a good start. But Clutch, who was fast in the first race but was on the softer compound, has gone on the hard this time and he's catching at the front. So Clutch and Ace Killer in a good place to win. So what have we got tyre-wise? We've got Green Def on mediums, Honor on hards now, Clutch on hards now. Ace Killer gone for the mediums again. They did die off in the last race, but we'll see what happens in this one. Then we've got Space on the hards. So Space changing their strategy as well. Kevlaro obviously on the mediums again. Needs to get past Space here if they can. Looking for that move. Gonna make it stick. Space does give space. And there we go. Kevlaro does make that stick. But is Space going to get the cutback? No, not quite. Space probably recognising that Kevlaro's quicker. So then we've got Gecko on the hard tyre strategy. Might struggle more to get past Space than Kevlaro did, but we have seen Gecko's straight line speed in that Ford GT, so it'll be an easy pass when they get to the straight, I imagine. Then we've got Oni on the same strategy. Oni on, that's a bit hard to say. Oni on the same strategy as the last race on the hards as well. Then Kaga has made a change of strategy onto the hards. Philo has changed strategy onto the hards as well, as he moves back up into 9th place there. Umbat on the hards. Obviously don't know what they did in the last race. And JP on the hards. But JP's definitely having a brake issue where his brakes may be sticking on. Maybe that was the problem off the start. Maybe JP's brake got stuck on. So apologies for anyone that was caught up in that issue at the start. Obviously there has been an issue with either the lobby or JP's inputs. As you see, his brakes on early again. So I do wonder if, yeah, and look, he's getting back on the power. His brake's still stuck on. So I think JP's having equipment issues with the brake getting stuck on, unfortunately. So that's not good news at all for JP there. So back to the front now then. We've still got Green Def leading us away. Honor in second place, dropping back though, but Green Def runs wide, so Honor's going to have the run now. So this might be Honor's chance to take the lead. Who's going to give up before? They're not going to go, they're going to go side by side. They are, no. Green Def backs out of it last minute. Smart from Green Def there to back out. So Clutch now catching them up. So's Ace Killer, but we saw Ace Killer's tyres at the end of the last race. And Kevlaro's right up there now then. So Kevlaro's tyres, we do know, can last the distance in that Porsche. So Kevlaro up to 5th in a good position, but Gecko cruising past Space down the straight there. So Gecko's still in a very good position with Kevlaro as well. So I do think these two are still on for challenging for the win here. Space then going to try and stick with them, but going to have Oni all over the back as well. Oni, we've seen in races, can be quick, but Oni does look like they do maybe throwing bad laps every now and again. So we'll see if Oni can keep it cleaner and have the pace to stick with those guys now. Philo then pulling away from Kaga and trying to catch up a bit in front. And then JP still having major issues, so I wonder if JP will end up quitting out of this race or not, because well off the pace, clearly having major issues with the brakes staying on, unfortunately. At least the livery looks nice though, I suppose. Take some positives. So Honor now took the lead and has pulled a gap, and Clutch has come up into second. and Ace Killer third. So Green Death now starting to drop down as Kevlaro's looking to make up a place as well now. Definitely Steve, pedal issues for JP. But Green Death does manage to keep ahead of Kevlaro for now. That GTR having too much straight line speed for the Porsche as well now. But Kevlaro definitely looking for the move now. And I want to get past before Gecko catches. Because once Gecko gets in Kevlaro's slipstream, we've seen it already. Gecko run past, good move there. Green Death runs wide and Kevlaro takes that position. So let's see how easy it is for Gecko to get past Green Death now then. We've seen compared to other cars, Gecko has the straight line speed, but it looked like that GTR maybe has good straight line speed as well. So it might not be as easy for Gecko to get by as the other cars were. But obviously Gecko should have good pace compared to Green Death. As we look at the pace of that GTR, Kevlaro really having to defend there. Yeah, this is killing Kevlaro again, but Kevlaro does stick it. Kevlaro now needs to run away. He needs to run away from Green Death now in this middle sector, and he needs Gecko to get stuck behind Green Death, really, as Clutch has lost a position to Ace Killer now then. So that's not good in Clutch's strategy, as Kevlaro is going to find it easier to catch up to him now then. But Honor doing well, sticking it out at the front, keeping it consistent, has changed onto those hard tyres. So obviously is going to the end of the race. I do presume now, after seeing a pit loss in the first race, everybody's going to try and get to the end of this one. Kevlaro now closed up to Clutch, but Kevlaro's going to have a job overtaking Clutch, as we saw in the first race how much he struggled to get past Gecko. But he has dropped Green Death like he wants, and Gecko has got stuck. So this is good news for Kevlaro. The problem for Kevlaro is he's now got to get past Clutch, and we saw how much he struggled to get past Gecko in the GTR. So he needs to get him soon and underbrake him, because he ain't going to get him on the straight unless a big mistake's made by Clutch on the exit of a corner. So Gecko now struggling to get past Green Death. Let's see if they go for the same move that Kevlaro did. They are. They're going to go for it into La Source like Kevlaro did. Kevlaro gets the cut back on Clutch, but we've seen the power of that GT in a straight line, and Gecko is now past. So is Clutch going to back out of this? No, he's not. They're going to stay side by side. Clutch forced Kevlaro to back out there. So that's bad news for Kevlaro, because that's going to allow Gecko to gain. Not what Kevlaro would have wanted at all there. So things really haven't gone well. So Gecko now has a chance to close back up, but look at that GTR all over the back of him. But I imagine, like Kevlaro did, now we've come to the middle sector, Gecko will start to pull away. Distinct space and Oni now right up to the back of that GTR as well. And Philo has dropped off a little bit now as we see yellow flags. Who's it for? It's for Ace Killer, unfortunately. So Ace Killer has gone there and took damage. So that drops Ace Killer down to 8th place. Might lose a position to Philo as well now. But Philo has got a penalty coming up to serve. Kevlaro now still struggling to get past that Ford GT again, but this time it's the Ford GT of Clutch, not the Ford GT of Gecko. Kevlaro, by the end of this race, is going to be fed up of looking at the back of those Ford GTs. He's definitely got the pace, he just doesn't have the straight line speed to make a move stick there. But is he going to do enough to be able to put Clutch off here? No. He has to settle in behind. So through Blanchimont there, he had to settle for it. Can he go for it at the bus stop? No, he can't. Straight line speed's real advantage for these Ford GTs, and that's going to allow Gecko to start closing up. But Kevlaro does get a much better exit out the bus stop. As we see someone's... Oh, no. Space holds it. I thought Space spun then. But as we see in the background, they did catch that. So good driving. Kevlaro has got past now. And he has got a good exit. The only problem for Kevlaro is we've already seen it in the first race with Gecko. That Ford GT down the straight is just ridiculous compared to the Porsche. So does Kevlaro have enough of a gap now that he can hold the inside line and get into this middle sector ahead of the Ford GT? Because that's what he needs. He needs to get into this middle sector of the track ahead of that Ford GT. And it looks like he's going to this time. It looks like job done by Kevlaro. Yes, he is. So now he needs to pull away from that Ford GT in the middle sector, because Gecko is going to have a much harder time passing Clutch. Well, that's just jinxed that, as Clutch makes a big error and Gecko just cruises straight by. So as I said there, Kevlaro's advantage is Gecko is going to find it harder to overtake Clutch, and then Clutch makes a huge mistake. So Gecko getting all the luck he needs this round, but Kevlaro has got a 2.5 second gap, which he never had at any point in the first race. So he has still got the upper hand. He's now chasing after Honor. And so Kevlaro is in the driver's seat for first place as we just come to the halfway point in this race. So upper hand to Kevlaro, because he's not stuck behind Gecko like he was in the first race. But we do remember Kevlaro had no tyres left on the last lap. He was struggling on the very last lap of the race. So that'll play into Gecko's hands again. But if Kevlaro can get some clear air and pull a gap, I think Gecko will have nothing to answer to. So we could see Kevlaro taking the win in this one. But Honor is obviously going to try and have something to say about that if he can. Being nice and smooth and consistent at the front, but he doesn't have the pace that Kevlaro and Gecko do behind by the looks of it. So these two will be all over the back of him before the end of this race, I imagine. But I definitely think Honor can take home a podium here, as Clutch has dropped back. So I think we're settled into fairly even positions. I do think, looking at pace, Ace Killer and Space, but Space took damage there, so something's happened to Space. And maybe Philo could get by Green Death, but because Green Death doesn't look like they have the pace of everybody else, but they are keeping it clean. They're making it difficult for people to get by. So there is a chance they can hold these guys off, but we will have to see by the end of the race whether that happens or not. So Ace Killer now going to look for the move, maybe not quite. But Ace Killer's going to have tyre issues at the end of this race again, because there's only about a quarter of those tyres left, but still, there's still about half the race left to go. Distinct Space not going to have tyre issues on the hard tyres or Philo. So they've changed their strategies this time round to make sure they have no tyre issues come the end of the race. Umbad has dropped back to 10th now, and Oni down in it. So Oni's struggling again after looking like they were getting through the field fairly well at the start of this race. And then JP now still having issues with the brake pedal, unfortunately. So JP's pace is really off it with these issues that he's having. So just basically driving on their own. So Honor now, Kevlaro all the way up to the back of Honor now. I think if I was Honor in this situation, I wouldn't be fighting Kevlaro, because I think the pace is just too much. If he fights Kevlaro, he risks losing the podium here. But we'll see what he chooses to do. Kevlaro does get round the outside. Honor does fight it though, but Kevlaro does get that move done. So I do think it's better for Honor to stay behind Kevlaro now, because I do think if they fight too much, then obviously Honor will risk losing the position to Clutch. because I think that's Honor's race is with Clutch. It's not with Gecko and Kevlaro. I think unfortunately for him, those two are just too quick. But obviously with all races, so sometimes it's hard to give up the fight on a position, but I do definitely think Kevlaro would have got him anyway. So losing time wouldn't have been a good decision, and I think similar to Gecko. But Honor now can try and use Kevlaro to keep that gap to Gecko as big as possible, and maybe he has a chance at fighting for second. But I think realistically, Honor's fight is for third here, which would be a great result in this one. So we'll see. We look like we've got a bit of a spread out field now as Clutch is dropped off Gecko. Ace Killer looking to close up the gap to Clutch now, having got past Green Death. And Space looking to now close up to Green Death and be the next one to make the move. And Green Death's tyres not too bad. So Green Death probably on the last lap will struggle, but should be okay on the mediums overall. So Philo now then looking to close up to Space and get past Green Death as well. After a good third place in the first race. Kagan now in a big bit of no man's land, same as Oni, but Oni has got Umbab there if they make mistakes, but both of them have picked up penalties. And then unfortunately JP with his issues obviously at the back. Yeah, look, that brake just sticking on again. So there's definitely pedal issues for JP, unfortunately. And that might be what caused the big incident at the start of this race, as JP was unable to get off the line. So Kevlaro now pulling away in the lead. Gecko has got up to the back of Honor. So Gecko up to the back of Honor now then. So I imagine Gecko's going to cruise past on the straight. We've already seen the straight line speed of that Ford GT on a number of occasions now. So as I said, I imagine by the end of the Kemmel straight now, Gecko's going to be over a car length ahead of Honor here. But we'll see. That AMG might have a bit more pace than some of the other cars. It looks like it does. Not going to be as easy for Gecko to get by. So this is good news for Kevlaro here. As Honor slows down Gecko, this allows Kevlaro to build that gap at the front. And Clutch is dropping off, so I do think Honor now maybe doesn't have to worry about Clutch too much. So Honor maybe can fight this with 8 minutes to go in this race. Well, Gecko's tyres are much better than Honor's. But this is allowing Kevlaro to pull away at the front. So this is good news for Kevlaro. This is the situation he wanted in the first race that he didn't get, was the opportunity to pull away from Gecko, to take away the advantage that Gecko has on the straights. And he has managed that in this second race now. We're just coming up to 7.5 minutes left to go in this one. So Honor and Gecko battling it out for second place. I do think with 7.5 minutes, Honor's not really going to be able to hold Gecko off, but we have seen he's going to give it a real go. And the gap, Clutch is now closing on these guys a little bit, so Honor does have to be careful, because Honor won't want to lose third place here. But definitely at the moment it's worth the fight to keep second, but if they start losing too much time, then maybe Honor would be better to let Gecko by, because Clutch is definitely catching up to these two now. He's took a second out of them in this lap by the looks of it. So what about Gecko now? Will Gecko be able to get by? Going to have to run on the straight again, but the AMG seems more of a task. AMG better in a straight line than obviously some of the other cars Gecko's come across. So he's not cruising past quite as easy as he was the other cars. See what Honor does this time. No, Honor doesn't defend it this time. Gecko does get to the inside and does now get that move done. So Honor now going to want to stick to Gecko to pull away from Clutch. 4.5 second gap to Clutch. So Honor's battle now that Gecko's passed is probably for third place. But we never know. They might be able to battle back here. We'll see what happens. So moving back down the field, we've got Clutch now with a bit of a gap to third, but a bit of a gap to fifth as well. Ace Killer again, same situation. Bit of time to close down to gain a position, but a bit of time to lose a position. Then we've got Space and Philo really battling away now in 6th and 7th, as Green Death has now lost positions to these guys and dropped into 8th. But Green Death's been doing well holding people off in this one. So Philo now all over the back of Space. But will they have the opportunity to go for a move? Tyre wear very similar on these two. Philo feeling it more on the rears, obviously in that MR, and Space feeling it more on the fronts. As Philo does get up the inside, but Space is going to hold it round the outside, is he? Let's see where... Yes, they do give each other space. Fantastic racing from these two. As Philo just gets ahead, but Space is going to have the slipstream now. So Space might be able to go for the move back into the bus stop. Keeping it single file through Blanchimont now. But Space does run wide. That's probably going to be a penalty for Space there. Yeah, there we go. Half a second penalty for Space. So Philo needs to take advantage now and run away from Space and get after Ace Killer. As Space really struggled a couple of times now coming out of that bus stop chicane. But they don't lose as much time as it looks like they should. So I know Space said they were having lag issues. So there is definitely lag issues with Space, unfortunately. Then we drop back. We've got Green Death with a nice gap to 9th. So Green Death should be able to hold 8th in this one, as we just hit 4 minutes left to go. Then we've got Oni in 9th, but got to watch out for Kaga behind, not too far. Umba's now dropped off, and then as we said, unfortunately, JP clearly still having these brake issues. So JP's well off the pace due to this. So that's unfortunate for JP. Hopefully the front runners don't catch JP, because that could cause problems. Kevlara now 3.5 seconds ahead of Gecko still. But those tyres are starting to go, and he has had to work them harder in this race than he did in the first race, because he's had to make moves and get passes done. So it does look like he's took a bit more out of the tyres this time round than he did last time. We'll see whether the next lap will be the final lap though, because they only just got an extra lap last time round, and this race, with having to make moves and come from the back, the race overall time won't be as quick for these two guys this time round. So I definitely think that they might do 1 lap less, which will play into Kevlaro's hands here. But Gecko is closing the gap, but not by very much. Kevlaro has got fastest lap of the race. Clutch is now closing up to Honor. So maybe Honor should have let Gecko go a little bit earlier and not fought him as much. But we'll see whether these guys get another lap. So what are we now with 2 minutes 20 left to go? So it's going to be very close whether these guys get another lap. Looks like Kevlaro just will get another lap, and Gecko, if he's fast enough on this lap, could just get another lap as well. So it could be interesting for these front two. They might just make the extra lap again. Honor though should only have 1 more lap to fend off Clutch for. If Honor can just hold on for 1 more lap, then he should take home a podium over Clutch. But Clutch is really reeling in Honor in now, as Clutch's tyre wear is better than Honor's. So we'll keep our eye on this battle, and we'll keep our eye on the gap between Kevlaro and Gecko, as Kevlaro is starting to struggle now. So that gap's come down to 2 seconds. So Kevlara will be praying that they don't get another lap in this one. And Gecko will be praying that they do get another lap in this one. So we got the same battle as we had in the first race. We got Kevlara being chased down by Gecko. But this time Gecko's not as close. But also this time it looks like Kevlara's tyres are not quite as good as they were first time round. So it is a different scenario, but the same at the same time. Hey, Blue Racer. Oh, yeah, is that for CLR, that the sprint series? I think I saw someone on about that the other day. So let's go to Honor now. It is a second, so it is now a second between Honor and Clutch. And we do know Clutch has the straight line speed in that Ford GT now then. Clutch is now in slipstream. So this is going to be interesting. Like I said, I don't think those two will get another lap. I do think these two at the front will, though, but it's going to be very, very close. Let's see as Kevlar... Ooh, bit of a slide. Kevlaro's rear left has now gone. So Kevlaro's in the same situation. He does get another lap. Does Gecko? Yes, he does. So this is bad news for Kevlaro. It's race one all over again, and Clutch gets Honor out the final corner to take third place. Unfortunate for Honor there. Great race by Honor. Unfortunate, get nicked to that third place right at the end. Philo coming home with fifth. Space gonna take home sixth. Ace Killer seventh. Great race from Green Death to get eighth. Oni ninth. Kaga 10th. Mbaz gonna take home 11th, and JP with the pedal issues is gonna be 12th. But now let's watch these front two again like we did in the last race. Kevlaro had to hold off Gecko, and Kevlaro made a mistake through Blanchimont, was it? If I remember correctly. No, it wasn't. It was on the exit of Stavolo. So Kevlaro will not want to be making a mistake this time. Gecko's not quite as close as he was last race round. But obviously, Kevlaro's tyres have now gone again like they did in the first race. Yes, Blue Racer, Kevlar are going to hang on for dear life. He had to do exactly the same in race one and couldn't quite pull it off. The only difference this time, though, is he did have a gap to Gecko this time. In the first race, he never was able to pull a gap to Gecko because of the straight line speed of that Ford GT. Whereas this time round, because of coming through traffic, Kevlaro did manage to pull a gap out, and he is still a second ahead, so that gap has done it for Kevlaro. This is where he made the mistake on the final lap. Oh, and Gecko's made the same mistake Kevlaro did in the last race. So it's a repeat, but the opposite way round. So Kevlaro should have this as long as he doesn't make a mistake at the bus stop. Gecko did lift enough not to get a penalty, though. So it's still race on if Kevlaro makes a mistake. So Kevlaro needs to keep it clean now then. And he does. He gets right. So Kevlaro takes a fantastic win in this one after just missing out in the first race. And Gecko's going to have to settle for second place. So fantastic from Kevlaro and Gecko again there, like it was in the last race. So I do think overall, between those two, is going to have to be driver of the day as one of those two because of the battles they've had at the front. And I do think I'm going to have to give it to Kevlaro just because he nearly beat Gecko in the first race, and he did hold on in that race. Gecko was using the hard tyres, though, with the tyre wear being worse on the Ford GT. But fantastic racing from everybody, especially Kevlaro and Gecko there. And shout out to Clutch and Honor as well in that battle for third place. Unfortunately, Honor just lost it on the exit of the bus stop. So close there between those two as well. So we'll just quickly run through the results for you in case you missed them. So we had Kevlaro first, Gecko second, Clutch third, Honor fourth, Philo fifth, Space sixth, Ace Killer 7th, Green Death in 8th, Oni in 9th, Kaga in 10th, Umbat 11th, JP in 12th with the unfortunate issue with the brake pedal and the not getting off the line at the start, and unfortunately DNF for 1 bit, who got caught up in the incident at the start where JP got stuck on the line. So very unfortunate there, but great racing. So we are going to now move to a new stream, but we will be streaming the Tour's second race, hopefully. So if you want to check that out, just wait for the next stream to go live in about 4 or 5 minutes. So thanks for tuning in, guys, but we'll see you in the next one.